What's up, guys, and welcome back to another NRL Fantasy Scout Podcast. I'm your host, Connor, and today I'm joined by Artemis. What's up, Artemis?
How are you, Connor? Good. How's things?
I'm great, and we're also joined by Sandro. How are you, Sandro?
Not bad, mate. Not bad at all.
Well, today we're all keen to dive into the mids, and there are a lot of great options. Unfortunately, Sirhan, our fourth member, is still away, but he'll be back very, very soon. This is our second podcast, and as I said, we're looking at the mids. Remember, if you're enjoying these preseason podcasts, please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment any of your thoughts or feedback below. If you're listening on Spotify, please leave a 5-star review. Every rating goes a long way, and we really appreciate it. Now, the mids are usually a consistent scoring bunch, and they're known for smashing out big scores. They're usually up there in captaincy favourites. They can also burn you if you go against the big names, like Haas when he averaged 92 in the first three rounds last year, and none of us had him, even though we all had Terrell May, who did extremely well. So let's open up with how do you approach the mid position in your squad, and also how much cover do you like to have on your bench? Sandro, over to you.
It's been a different outlook this year. Like last year, there's the big two with Haas and May, but now this year there's been lots of undervalued guns and cheaper value options as well. Um, so yeah, personally, I'm looking at I'm fading Haas and May most likely, and it's going with heaps of cheaper guys. In terms of coverage, I probably want at least five mids. But then again, that depends on the number of options in my team. But yeah.
If you run with Smith and Hayward because they've got the duel, would you count them as mid coverage?
Well, yeah, you have to, I guess. Um, yeah, I'm looking at my team now. I've got six mids, I think. So yeah, that's more than enough.
Looking good. And what about you, Artemis?
I agree. I think this year, especially to start the season, anyways, I think there's a lot of cheap mid-value players. Um, Whether they'll be there for the rest of the season, I doubt it. But I think definitely starting off the season, um, there's a lot. There's Colquhoun, who we'll talk about. Um, McEwen. Did my thing
No,
not?
no, you said Colquhoun
Oh, sorry. No, I thought
because
my AirPods
Colquhoun.
disconnected. But I think compared to last year, I think like May and Haas, I mean, you're going to see them consistently score highly, but I'm looking at fading them as well. I think definitely I will have a premium mid or a high value mid. Don't think it will be either of those two, but definitely a lot of cheaper mid values. Um, I'll be honest, haven't made my team yet or done a draft. I have got a few mids in mind. Um, After the first podcast, I'm tossing up between. I might actually only have one of Smith or Haywood. Still not sure yet, but I think I will definitely have them, as Sandra said, as a mid cover too. In terms of how many, I'd say probably five, but once I make the first draft, I'll be able to tell you more then.
Nice. Well, yeah, I'll be honest. I currently have 7, including Smith and Hayward, which one of them's technically at hooker, so we won't count one of them. We'll say 6. But yeah, this year there's a lot of good mids, and mid, it's usually a big scoring position. However, it has hindered some people's cash value over the past couple of years. We've had the mid ranges we needed to take a step up who haven't made that leap. Like Utoiku Manu was 1 year at the Tigers, Jai Arrow, I remember. Ironically, the Cheese when he moved to the Roosters. That being said, there is a lot of good value and fallen guns that I like this year, but it will be terrifying, especially because of their ownership, to fade Haas and May, especially Haas round 1. But we'll we'll get into it. We'll get into it. And that's a great place to lead us into the first player. Payne Haas, 950k, priced at 75 points, averaged 74 last year. What are your thoughts, Sandro?
we all know how Haas can go. I wouldn't talk anyone out of him, but as we mentioned already, there's lots of value this year. I don't think is really required. Yeah, he had a career year last year. Can he really get better? He's he's actually priced higher than what he averaged as well. So he got a 1 point increase to average. He's averaged 73.7 and he's priced at 74.7. So yeah, he's probably like my second favorite out of like the big three, Cleary, May, halves. But for me, I don't think I'll be going with him, given all the value options.
I think you mentioned as well, will he perform well or like very similar to how he did last year? To be honest, it wouldn't surprise me if he actually did. I mean, he just keeps getting better every year, and he's a beast. But I think, given his price, I don't think I will have him in my team. I think it might be a bit difficult. Definitely between him and May, I will look and get Haas if I am to get one of those two. But yeah, I think I'll be fading him as well.
Yeah, fair enough. I too am fading because just Madge's ability to taper minutes, especially when the Broncos are doing well, and I expect the Broncos to start off strong, whereas last year they're a bit shaky working it out with who works of Hunt, Ezra, Reynolds, but now they've cracked the code obviously because they won the comp, and I think they'll continue that form. That being said, this could be a contract year for Haas if he wants to go to 360 if that's still on, and we all know players love to do well in a contract year, but personally, he's not the big three person that I'm having in my team start of the year. Next person in the big three, who's also a mid, Terrell May, 930k, pretty much priced at that 73 points after his tremendous year last year. Artemis, you starting with him?
Yeah, I think the buy round in the first round is very off-putting for me, and I'm sure for the majority of players. I think having that big of a player with, I mean, he's what, 930k on the bench round one. I don't know. I think I have seen some, like there has been some talk that he will get a reduction in minutes. I don't know if that's been confirmed. I don't know if you boys can confirm that or not. I still think he will definitely be scoring very similar to his average last year. Will he exceed it? I doubt it, but I'd love to be proven wrong. And I think he's definitely one who will exceed or who can exceed his average. But yeah, I think for me, I think yeah, I'm not looking at him.
With the minutes thing, like towards the back end, he just looked a bit tired and almost like playing those big minutes, like he wasn't really as effective. And I think Benji will try and manage that more this season. Uh, we have him as 65 minutes as opposed to like the low 70s he was getting last year. So yeah, given that, I wouldn't recommend starting with him.
Yeah, albeit he did shave his head, so he probably will score 10 tries in the first game, but
That's
that game is in round two, so unfortunately, I will be off him as well. That being
yeah.
said, even though, well, I'm just speaking for me personally, even though I don't have one of Haas or May, I've still spent very big money in my mids, and we'll go through the other premium options that we like. The next one, Isaiah Yeo, had a bit of a down year, as well as Penrith last year. They weren't the high flyers for the whole year that we expected. This year comes in at 58. What are your thoughts, Sandro?
Yeah, I really like Yo. He's his lowest average since 2021 last season. Yeah, he had a few low minute games, which brought his average down. Um, at this price, like, it's very rare that is this low to start the season. And if you look at his average, if you take out those low minute games, he averaged 62.1 when he played 70 plus minutes. So you're getting a nice discount here. Um, yeah, he's in my team and he'll most likely stay.
Yeah, I think whenever I had him or brought him into my team, he always delivered for me. So round one, like Sandra said, at his price, it's hard not to get him. And I think as well, I don't see him staying at the price he's at the moment. I think after the couple of rounds, he's just only going to increase and probably get back to the same score or the price, sorry, that he was last year before. As Sandra said, he's underpriced as well slightly. But for me, I'm pretty sold on him.
Yeah. I forgot to add also, like, generally most people like target him as an end of season player to bring in, but it'd be nice to start with him for once. That's another incentive, I guess.
Yeah, Penrith last year, they just had a weird start where they won in Vegas, Yo did well, and then week 2 they lost to the Roosters, who were expected to be a bad team at the time. They unexpectedly lost, and he scored 30 in 70 minutes. Unheard of for Isaiah Yo. And then he still scored decently over the next 10 game weeks. I say 10 because after those next 10, Penrith were at the bottom of the table, but it was the worst start he had, and a lot of people weren't too happy picking Yo to start the year. That being said, I think Penrith have worked it out with Halangi, and they're going to hit the ground running, and Yo, as we know, is a big part of that Penrith side, so I'm a big fan, and we'll be starting with him. Another person who will have a bounce back year, Cam Murray, that's due to coming off an injury. He played round 27 a bit last year, but this year he's fitter than ever in that Souths pack though. That's all over the place. Unpack it, Sandro.
Yeah, Murray's back after missing most of the season last year, like you mentioned. If you look at his average in 2024, he averaged 55.2 and he's priced at 57. So if you assume he scores the same, he's technically overpriced. Um, and yeah, now that Kolomatangi has moved to become a full-time prop, the minutes they're pretty hard to come by in the South pack. Murray needs to play probably 70 plus to be good value, and that won't happen, I don't think, too consistently.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think especially in the first few weeks, I think he will be on a bit of a minutes restriction. But I think for me, I'm going to keep him as a watch for the first couple of weeks. See how his minutes are, whether they do increase. But also in the meantime, hope that his price does drop a little bit as well. Because if it drops and his minutes start to increase, that's definitely a good option to hop on.
Yeah, ideally, like he gets eased back in to start off with, and then, like you said, drops in price, and it'll be a nice pickup at some point throughout the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, with the Souths pack, I think Cam Murray's one of, if not the best forwards in the game with his quick play the balls. But unfortunately, fantasy is not measured on quick play the balls. It's measured on stats that you need minutes to rack them up. And just Souths as a team, I say the forward pack, but they've got Cheese who can play lock if Mamo comes on. Hubner, who I really like, I thought he played great last year. And then there's even Jamie Humphries that can do a stint at lock if they do shift something in the back line. So, yeah, there's just too many questions for how they're going to start off. And we all know Wayne, he loves a trick or two up his sleeve. So it could even change each week, you know. Murray could play 71 week and then 40 another. It all just
Yeah,
depends, but I'd personally stay away to start. We have another South forward, Keon Kolomatangi, signed to the Dragons for 2027, priced at 704k after a good past 2 years. What are your thoughts, Artemis?
I think, like we said with Murray, like Keon's back, so Murray's minutes are going to be affected, and I think vice versa for Keon as well. I think Souths are getting a lot of players back. I don't see him playing the same amount of minutes unless there is an injury. But yeah, for me, I'm not too keen on him, purely only because of the minutes. I mean, we know how he can play, especially moving to prop and how well he scores, but I'm not too keen on him.
with the Dragons move in 2027, what do you guys think Bennett will do? Like, will he? He could go two ways. He could like run Keelan to the ground and play in massive minutes, or he could like look to the future and play in lower minutes. Or what
Well,
do you guys think?
Wayne might not be there in 27 himself. I personally think he'll run him into the ground more so, and he'll try to win the premiership this year. And if that means Keon
Yeah,
has to play big minutes, then so be it. But that being said, with how Souths are looking at the moment, that probably isn't the case.
yeah,
I think he's too important of a player to not be played. So if Wayne is going to run him to the ground, I don't see the point of it.
yeah. Fair enough. He's actually, if he maintains those big minutes from last year, there is some value. But like we said already, it looks unlikely at this stage.
But last year, it was more so due to injury, because especially with our props last year in Totola, and even I'm pretty sure Arrow was injured for a stint. There was just
Yeah.
everyone. It was
So
all
many
over the
injuries.
place in the prop. Yeah, South's
Yeah,
past 2 years awful with injuries. So it is a big if because this year could fall the same way. But also, I think that's why South have just moved to more forwards that can play everywhere. Even, I know this
yeah,
sounds crazy, David Fafita might play edge for 60, and he's big enough to move into the middle for like the last 10, 20 minutes. Genuinely, we don't know, but yeah, whilst I'm excited as a fan, it's way too risky to go there in fantasy.
yeah.
The next is a complete opposite. I think one of the safest options, Toby Couchman. He's probably wearing his footy boots right now. He loves the game. 691k, middle and edge dual position, priced at 54. What are your thoughts, Sandro?
I love this guy. I didn't look at him too much in preseason, but the other day I saw his name brought up and I looked at his stats properly. He's priced at 54.3, has dual position. But then you look at his when he started at prop and played 50 plus minutes, he averaged 67.8, which is absolutely insane. I know the sample size is a bit small, but he's shown his base is incredible. So if he can continue those numbers, he's almost 15 points of value, which is crazy at his price point already. I'm actually considering captaining him. If I don't go for one of the big three, I might captain him in Vegas because with the smaller field size, we often see the middle forwards get through lots of base. So yeah, I'm really keen on Toby Couchman.
What I really love about him is that DPP that he's got. I think that's the best thing. His PPM, like Sandra said, is ridiculous. There is value there for me. He's a definite buy. I'm sure with you, Connor, and I'm sure Serhan as well. Um, the only thing I'm a little bit concerned on is I know last year he missed quite a few games with that shoulder injury. If I'm not wrong. Um, I think him missing out on a lot of games in the off season. I'm hoping he's fully fit this year. But if he starts having niggles again in that shoulder, then yeah, I'll be looking at taking him out. But for the moment, he's the sole. He's in my
Yeah.
team.
I'd love to get some sort of report about how his shoulder's
Yeah,
going. I haven't heard too much.
yeah,
I
so
assume he's all good. I think he had surgery, so
He did, he did.
yeah,
Well, that's
he
the
did.
yeah,
last year, even though he dislocated his shoulder 3 times last year, and that in itself is heroic. Like each time, he wouldn't care.
Yeah,
He said if it pops out again, it pops out. He'll just keep going and tackling. Man's a beast. I
is that relatable, Connor, to you?
yeah. I
Yeah,
was about
for
to say
context,
that.
I've dislocated my shoulder 9 times, but unfortunately, every time I did it, I took time to recover. So no, it's not really relatable. I'm not as good as Toby, but
Yeah,
I didn't realize it was 9. I
yeah,
thought it was like I
that's
thought it was
that's
like
why I
mid
too will get
5, 6.
surgery this year. So
Yeah,
anyway,
damn.
but I currently don't have Couchman, but I
what?
am pulling apart my team to get him in. You'll see it in our team preview video very soon, but yeah, I need him, especially with the Bellin out and Hamish at lock. he even though he's really young, he becomes the leader of that forward pack this year, and I'm super excited for him.
Yeah.
Next,
Also with sorry
oh yeah,
to stop, the little injury. So Cook most likely won't play lock, so that could boost Couchman's minutes as well. We have him for 65, I think, at the moment. 60, yeah.
yeah, still big regardless. He can
Yeah.
probably score 80 in that. But next, we've got Paddy Carrigan, another trooper, 684k, priced at 54 points. What are your thoughts, Temis?
Personally, fantasy-wise, I'm not too keen on him. I mean, he consistently delivers mid-high 40, even low to mid-50s, and sometimes even you see him exceeding the 60s, 70s. I think there was a bit of a, and I think Sandra can correct me on this. I think there was a bit of a drop off in minutes last year when he played. Um, I don't know. I mean, I assume most likely he'll be getting the same amount of minutes this year as he did last year, unless there is a reduction in an increase in minutes. Then I might look at him, but personally, I'm not really keen on him too much.
Yeah, like you mentioned, I looked at it. He lost 7 minutes a game compared to 2024. Not too sure why. Um, but also we saw the first half of the season when he was playing at prop and then Heather into the lock. He actually averaged much higher compared to the back half of the season when Corey Jensen was starting and Carrigan moved back to lock. It's probably not attributed to the actual position, maybe more so like origin burnout, that sort of stuff. So yeah, he's not for me unless maybe like Haas gets injured, he could become relevant again. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, with Hobie going off to Manly, that could work in his favour if Jensen starts prop and Carrigan's looking to start at lock. But again, Madge, he loves resting his important players, and Paddy Carrigan is the quiet workhorse in that forward pack. So I I just think there's too many opportunities for the Broncos to be up by 30 or 40 points, and then they all get a spill, and that's just not worth it for fantasy, especially when you're spending nearly 700k and there's a lot of great options around that price point. So an avoid for me. Next, we have an injury-riddled player the past 2 years, but nevertheless a great one. Tino Fasuamalawi,
No pun.
668k, a slight reduction based on his injuries, but one of the best players in the league. What are your thoughts on him, Artemis?
Honestly, I didn't really think of him much. And then I was actually speaking to Sandra, and then I was like, actually, let me do some proper thought and analysis. And I think as well, especially with the Jolliffe news that he's out for the season, I think he will get minutes. And moving to the prop to the forward as well. Um, there is value there. I'm now leaning more towards of actually having him. Um, I was just more concerned, as you said, Connor, as he's had a lot of injuries. So I think if you can have an injury-free season, then definitely he's a must-have. But I think personally, I still got to do a little bit more analysis into it and see if I will have him or not.
Yeah, fair enough. He had a lot of lower minute games last year due to injuries and also post origin. So he's priced at 52.5. But when you look at his stats when he played 60 plus minutes, he averaged 60. So that's close to 8 points of value if he can maintain those numbers. And yeah, we have him at 65 minutes, expected minutes with Jolliffe news. So I really like Tino.
Yeah, I really like Tino too. He's a great player in such a crap side, and that just converts to points straight away.
Yeah.
Like he just does everything for that team. And even last year when he had dipped in price because he had that injury, he dropped a 10-pointer, which ruined his cash making value. But after that week, he got over 50 each time, no doubt. And yeah, he's undervalued, I reckon, because there's still more to come after a full preseason, not injured, knock on wood. But yeah, he's a great player. Next, we have someone who's actually had a lot of inquiries for AFB after his first year at the Sharks last year. He's priced at 661k. A lot of people own him during the buy periods, but would you start with him, Alessandro?
Probably not, given all the other options. Yeah, FB had a quiet year by his standards, I guess, which we sort of expected going to the Sharks with their stacked forward pack. Uh, yeah, it sort of depends on McInnes's injury as well. We believe he's out until May. There was an article on NRL.com about that. But at the same time, Daniel Atkinson has left, so the Sharks will probably be playing with 4 middle forwards on the bench. Um, it's too hard to get the minutes with all the players Sharks have. So unless something changed in his role, then I don't see much value in AFB.
Yeah, I agree. And I sort of expect the same year from him this year that he had last year. I think there's definitely going to be games where he's scoring over 60. There's no question about that at all. I just don't see it happening week in, week out. And I see him a couple of weeks scoring high 60s and then a week after 40s. So it's just the inconsistency for me, which is a big concern. And I think there are better options at around that price and even cheaper as well. So for me, I'm avoiding him.
Yeah, on the inconsistency, like I don't know if it's just me, but personally, like it frustrates me. Like I'd rather own someone who scores 45 points every week
Yeah,
than someone who goes from 59 to 39. Like it
well,
just,
you
I
just
hate it.
stole the words out of my mouth. Again,
Yeah,
I'm confused why he's being inquired. I think he's an awful
Yeah,
fantasy scorer because he drops 30 as a prop.
yeah, he
And
needs tries.
exactly,
yeah,
he needs tries, tackle busts. Why
yeah,
have that when I can pay an extra 30k for someone who gets 50 each week instead of 1 week getting 30, but hoping you own him for when he has that 80 in him.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
yeah don't see the value, and especially in a shark pack where his minutes won't even be that good. It's not like the Warriors or Manly where he was the focal point. Like the Sharks are a good
yeah.
team, especially in the forwards, and yeah, I don't rate AFB at all.
Well put.
The next guy, he's a cult hero after last year, Nafahu White, absolute beast fantasy player for the Risers at the start and over the bye period with that lovely Roosters bye schedule last year. Now, instead of 400k, he comes in at 638k, priced at 50 points. Would you start with him this year, Artemis?
I had him in my team last year for the majority of the year, and boy, did he carry my team. I'm just finding it very hard to have him in my team, and especially start with him. I think the Robson signing really doesn't do him any favors. Um, we're going to see Watson now, who we spoke about in the previous podcast, how he'll be playing lock, and I think him and White will be sharing the minutes. I think Sandra's got a projection on how many minutes he'll be getting. Um,
Yeah,
but
50. Yeah.
50, yeah, I don't see him scoring as well if he's getting 50 minutes, and yeah, I don't see much value there.
Yeah. I don't have too much to add, but yeah, there's the Roosters pack, there's not really much value, I feel, other than maybe Robson, like we said the other day. They all sort of cancel each other out. There's lots of big minute players there. So not for me.
Yeah, he was a great cash cow last year. And I do, he's an amazing player himself, and he's only getting better because he's so young. But with the
Yeah,
Roosters makeup, it's looking like no. But that being said, last year the predicted minutes were always low for him, and then someone got a HIA, and he ended up playing 70 or 80.
yeah,
So could
Yeah.
easily expect that, but
yeah,
will happily get burnt again.
yeah.
All right, next we got Jack Williams, another DPP player, middle and edge. Came into his own last year towards the end with Para, 634k, price just under 50 points. Would you start with him, Alessandro?
Probably not. He was quite good last season in real life. He, like you said, he found his form. He moved to the second row spot after playing mainly prop lock and on the bench. Yeah, his role will most likely be the same. Start at second row and then move to the middle mid game when Tuolangi or Kartonga comes on, whoever it is. So yeah, for me, I think he'll average the same, and there's not much value there.
I agree. I think, to be honest, I didn't really think of him as an option at all. Um, I think he'll be scoring very similarly to Lassie, and as Sandra said, the role's going to stay the same. So unless something changes, I don't see him scoring higher compared to last season. So yeah, I'm not interested in him at all.
Yeah, he might even see maybe a reduction because, again, Kitty's
Yes,
back, but also the Bellin comes
the
into
Bellin.
fold. So that
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily mean Hopgood plays lock all the time, even though he was playing prop towards the end of last year. Yeah, there's just too many minutes to go around. And if
Yeah,
anything, Williams is probably very similar to Hopgood, and Hopgood's cheaper anyway. So if you want to power forward, you
yeah,
might as well go with Hopgood, I think, at that
yeah.
point. But yeah, I
Agreed.
just am not looking at Jack Williams at the moment. Next is
Yeah.
Connor Watson, 622k, but due to his dual position at hooker and mid, we spoke about him in our hooker episode. Feel free to watch it by going through our channel and clicking on the hooker episode or in our hooker video. Next, Larry Thompson, 610k, the new Bulldog signing. You boys must be excited. 48 points. Is he the next big Aiden Tolman or Willie Mason?
I'm excited about him in real life. He should add some flair to the Bulldogs pack. You need one of those big forwards, so I look forward to him in real life. But in fantasy, he's no go. Um, we have too many forwards. There'll be Max King, Josh Curran, Tupanua, Harry Hayes, all in the prop rotation. There's not enough minutes to go around. We only have him. We actually expected minutes to go down from what he got at the Knights. He's
Yeah.
projected for 45 minutes currently. So yeah, avoid.
Yeah, as Sandra said, I think, to be honest, with any of the dogs forwards, not really keen on them for fantasy at all. I think they're all going to get around, well, Max King and Thompson, anyways, 45, 50. I mean, you've got Harry Hayes, Curran, and Satili on the bench, so they're going to get a decent amount of minutes. I think the only reason why Thompson was getting those high 40s, low 50s was because of the amount of minutes he was getting at Newcastle. And I think Sandro did the calculations, it was around 54, 55 minutes. So
He cut out for you.
Yeah, he cut out. Well, I'll just jump in whilst Artemis works it out. Maybe he becomes the new Aiden Tolman and runs it on fourth tackle, or maybe he keeps up that Knights output because the Dogs can't score a try to save their lives, meaning they got to tackle all game. But no, I think Leo Thompson is not a good fantasy asset, and I think the Dogs are a big stay away in their forward department.
Are we going to continue? Or?
Yeah,
about that.
you are back. All good,
Yeah,
Artemis. You can
sorry.
finish that off.
Apologies. Yeah, that was my AirPods. I don't know what I got up to, but I think, yeah, he was averaging 54, 55 minutes at Newcastle, and that's the only reason why he was getting those high scores.
Yeah,
And I think with the reduction in minutes, he's not going to be, if anything, he'll be getting probably mid 40s, maybe high 40s too, but that's the max I
that's
see
all
him
right.
getting.
All you missed out on was me saying that he might have that Knights output because the Dogs can't score a try, so he'll be tackling a lot because you guys are
Yes,
useless. All right,
yes,
no
yes.
argument there. Final premium, we have IPAP, Isaiah Papali'i from the Panthers, their new recruit last year, 607k due to him starting off with a lot less minutes, but he came into his own towards the end of the year. Another middle edge dual position player, priced just under 48 points. Open to you, Alessandro.
Yeah, perhaps one I'm really interested in. There's been some talk of him starting in the second row with Sorensen getting older now, moving to more of a middle role off the bench. The big question here is the minutes and what role properly plays. I don't see a world where he plays 80, but I can see him potentially playing that hybrid role where he starts second row and then moves to the middle once Luke Garner comes on. So yeah, it's the question over the role, but I'm interested in him.
What was the average he was getting when he was at Para, Sandro? When he was starting?
Yeah, he averaged
it,
57 in
yeah,
2021 and
yeah.
62.9 the year after. And he was only playing like 60, 65 minutes, which is insane. He
I
doesn't need
think,
80 to be good, really.
yeah, I think when he first signed for Penrith, I think we expected those sort of numbers last year. And I think there was a bit of disappointment when he wasn't getting those numbers, but he also wasn't starting consistently either. And I think if he does get the starting role, yeah, he might only get 60 minutes. Will he get back to that same scoring level that he did 4 or 5 years ago? I doubt it, but I mean, he's in a Penrith team. And if it's any team, he can get those sort of scores. It's with Penrith. I think for me, I think I'll just wait and see how it goes and how the minutes are shared between him and Ghana. And then go from there.
Yeah, I really like IPAP just because the way Cleary usually does it is if he starts on the edge, like a Garner or Sorensen last year would have just come on for the last 20 minutes, meaning he plays 60 anyway. IPAP's issues with his minutes were when he started on the bench and he'd only come on for 30. But if he starts, I don't want to say he's guaranteed, but he probably will get that 60 minutes. And at this price, like we know he can average very good, especially in a good Penrith side where he will score tries as he did last year. So I'm a big fan of IPAP. Right, now we move on to the mid-ranges, opening up with Jermaine Hopgood, slightly mentioned before with Jack Williams, but priced just under 600k at that 47-point mark. How are you feeling about him, Sandro?
Interesting one. He had a really weird season where he's just never got the minutes. The minutes kept going down, and no one really knew why. Then towards the end, he moved to prop, and he saw a big increase in minutes and points. So he averaged 53.8 when he played prop, and then 44.9 at lock. Um, if he starts at prop and keeps playing those minutes, he would be value. But with the signing of Jack DeBellin, it sort of counteracts everything, and he probably goes back to reduced minutes, I'd say.
Yeah. And for me, I'm I'm happy to wait and see how the minutes get distributed. If the Bellin takes off quite a few minutes off Williams and Hopgood still gets a decent amount, then I'll look and see how he's going and then maybe hop on him. But for the moment, I'm willing to wait and see.
Yeah, being priced at that 47 mark, you really need them to hit the ground running and be at least the 55 scorer. But that being said, last year, when Hopwood just bled for the first 20 rounds, dropping 30s and 40s with his reduced minutes, I just don't think the value is there with the risk. Next, here's a recurring story. Stefano Toikumanu, 575k. Again, needs that big jump to become an undervalued scorer. Are we going to buy into the story this year, Artemis?
Probably not, to be honest. I think he definitely got better towards the end of the season, had a bit of a slow start. If he starts off the season the way he ended it last year, he's definitely one to look at. There is some value there. But I think at that price, I think there are some better options, um, and even cheaper as well. So I think, yeah, I don't think I'll be open to getting.
Yeah. The big question mark is the minutes. Like Bellamy seemed to sort of cap him at like max 50, which makes it really hard for him to be effective in fantasy. He's priced at 45.2, but when he in a few games he played 50 plus minutes and he scored 57, which is could be value if he maintains his minutes, but we don't think he will. There is some value, but I don't think it's enough given the amount of value in other players.
Yeah, as I said, we've heard this story before. Stefano, the mid-ranger, improved at the end of last year. Will he keep making that step up? Just no, don't bother, don't go there. Bellamy's not going to play a forward for 60 minutes, which is what he needs. You know, Bellamy's a smart coach. He spreads the minutes across the pack, not just putting it all on one player, like teams like the Tigers. So yeah, Utoiku Manu, no go for me. We have another falling gun, but he's been fallen the past couple of years. Ruben Cotter, 569k, priced at 45 points. Thoughts, Artemis?
He was. I actually got him early on in the season last year, and I was expecting and hoping for big things. Was pretty disappointing. I hope he does find the form that he had a couple years ago. I'm just at the moment, I'm just not too convinced. Um, I think, I mean, if he starts off the season pretty well, puts up consistent scores, then maybe I will look at him. But I think for the moment, yeah, I don't. I'm avoiding him.
My take on Cotter is that he's been like he's gotten so many minutes in the early stages of his career. He's been running to the ground, and now he's getting on a bit in age. He's had injuries. His body just can't handle it anymore. Yeah, he's dropped off, like you said, Connor. Uh, yeah, I don't think we see some improvement maybe, but not enough to make him worthwhile.
Yeah, well, just again, with the Cowboys, they're a very attacking team and a very defensively liable team. So I just reckon any of their players, unless you buy them for their attacking upside, which Cotter's just not notorious for, I think it's an avoid. Like he's not a Lukey or a Nanai who can go score a try, tackle bust, whatnot. You know, you rely on Cotter to get base, and the Cowboys just in, they they like a missed tackle or two, and that shows in their scores. So not for me. Next, we have Tino's counterpart, Mo Fotuaika, 566k, priced at 45 points. What are your thoughts, Alessandro? Are you as keen as him as you are with Tino?
Not as keen. Followake, he's another potential beneficiary of the Jamin Jolliffe ACL, as is Randall and Tino. But Fodawaker, again, he needs the minutes, and we expect Tino to play a lot of minutes, and then Randall and Mo as well to share them. So it just comes down to that. He needs he's priced at 44.5, but he averaged 50.2 when playing 50 plus minutes. So if you think he'll maintain those minutes, then he could be some value. But there's there's too many mouths to feed, I guess, and they probably run with four forwards on the bench, maybe, which makes it harder for him to score well. So some value, but prefer Tino and maybe even a Randall over him as well.
Yeah, I'm with Sandro. I think when I pick between the two, I'd rather spend the extra, what is it, 130,000 on Tino, on someone who will get more minutes and more points as well. So, yeah, I'm not really a fan of him.
Mm. I actually really like Fotuaika. I think he will get those 50 minutes because I know Hane's had this he's doing this forward overhaul and he's changing their whole philosophy. But I think he really rates Fotuaika as he's a rep player, you know, Queensland player, and Hane values that experience. That being said, wouldn't go there in fantasy, but I would definitely like him in draft if he fell far enough, personally. Next, Kurt Donahue, we spoke about in the Hooker episode. So go watch that if you want to hear our analysis on him. But after that is his teammate, all the way from England, Morgan Knowles, 550k. These Super League players always come in at odd prices. What are your thoughts on the native, Sandro? The transfer?
So the reports coming out of the Dolphins that he'll get the 13 jersey to start the season, but that's due to Max Plath being out, JMK being out, Slegler not being fully fit. So whilst he may start there, we don't know if he'll have that jersey long term. Super League guys, it's always hard to predict how they'll translate to the NRL. So I've heard good things about him. He's a wait and see, I'd say.
Yeah, I'm the same. I haven't really looked into much of his stats, but I have heard and seen some good things about him. Same worry as well. What happened when Path comes back? I mean, if he does start the season pretty well, there is a possibility he might maintain the 13 jersey. If he does, then definitely an option, but I don't really want to take that risk of a of a possibility of if. So I'd rather wait that out. And if I think he's around 550, so I'd rather spend that money on someone else that has a guaranteed sort of minutes, so to say.
Yeah, Super League's always a wait and see. Like, Bateman came, hit the ground running. Luke Thompson, not really. I know Knowles has raps, but personally, watching the Ashes last year, I didn't rate him. Or that could have just been the England side. They were just awful. But yeah, because of that, he actually just, I think, might not get in over the Dolphins forwards. It sounds crazy because they signed him for all that money, but as a South fan, we saw it with Lewis Dodd. Signing a player for big money means nothing if they can't play, and teams want to win at the end of the day. Dolphins are stacked up forwards, so if he's not good enough, he just won't be there. So, too risky for me. Next, another fallen price player due to an injury, Taniela Paseka, becomes the leader of that Manly pack now. What are your thoughts, Alessandro?
I had some interest in him. Obviously, he was out last year, and those players tend to get discounts sometimes. But his price was messed with, of course, by FanHub. That 500k, there's no interest there. If he was like closer to 400-ish, I would consider him. But he's getting older, coming off a Achilles injury, which is always hard to come back from. So unless you expect him to play 50 plus minutes, which we don't, I wouldn't go there.
Yeah, he wasn't someone that crossed my mind at all, to be honest, especially at his price. And I think as well, Achilles injury he's coming back from. I don't know if he'll be getting as many minutes as he did last year to start off the season. Might progress as it continues, but uh, yeah, I'm not.
Yeah.
As I said, didn't cross my mind at all.
I was considering not putting him in, but I've seen him in a few drafts, and also in
Right.
Supercoach. I think his price is really good because they price him
Too low.
properly.
Yeah. Well, I
But
think, as you said,
yeah,
if it was going to be around the 400, then there is a possibility, but not at 500.
yeah,
Oh, even then, like, I know the stats say he can do well, but I think Manly fall off big time this year, going from DC to Fogarty, you know, like Olaquaju's back, and I think he's a good option, but I don't know. I don't think Manly will do too well this year. So I just think most of them are in a void. They're just running on the same hype as that 2021 season still. So yeah, not for me. Another player coming back from injury who he will hit the ground running, but I hope he stays fit and healthy. Tommy Flegler has missed a lot of time, coming in at 500k, priced at 39. Would you start with him on return, Artemis?
No. Short answer, no. I think he will be on a minutes restriction again as another player. I think I'm willing to wait and see how his minutes are hoping his price drops as well. And then if he's on a good trajectory, then jump on him. But I'll wait for him and see.
Yeah, it's good to see Fleckler clear to play.
Yes,
He's been out for a long
of course.
time. And if you look at his numbers in 2024, he's technically underpriced, but that's at those minutes, of course. Yeah, we expect him to start off from the bench, most likely play lower minutes. So as Temis touched on, hopefully he drops in price a bit and maybe he becomes an option at some point later in the season.
Yeah, and just that again, I'm hoping he makes a strong return, but even at full strength, there's a case that he still doesn't get those minutes because they have that much origin talent there. And even the young guns who are coming through that in 2024 wouldn't have been having that experience if it weren't for all the injuries last year. So, not going to start with him, but am hoping he hits the ground running because he's enjoyable to watch. Bruce
I look
Randall.
forward to how the Dolphins line up at full strength. It'll be very interesting because there's so many forwards, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see when the ladder predictions come out, but Dolphins could be in my top four. That's my smoky pick for the year, but I
I
think
rate
they're
it.
just stacked across the park.
Yeah.
But there's
Yeah.
there's a few good teams this year, so we'll see. We'll see. Bruce Randall we spoke about in the Hawker episode. Go watch that if you want. Next, one of the most highly owned players in the game so far, Trey Mooney, 450k, has moved from the Raiders to a lackluster Knights. Is he the guy, Alessandro?
He's the guy. He's a must-have. If you don't have him, just delete the app. Like seriously. He played 3 games in his career over 40 minutes, and he averages 61. He's priced at 35.4, so the value there is tremendous. Um, I've seen some people calling him the next Terrell May. I would like to temper expectations a bit. Like he's a good value, but I don't think he'll be that good. But yeah, like I said, must have.
Yeah, look, there's not much more to add to what Sanjay said. I think apart from the fact that the stat you did give is a pretty small sample size, but still, I still expect him to be scoring similar to those scores you mentioned. And I think, yeah, it's pretty silly not to get him, to be honest.
Yeah, I like how he played in the Raiders. Like that was a stacked forward pack, and he held his own amongst them.
Yeah.
But and also just at that price point in general across all positions, it's such a good enabler at mid-ranger because there's a lot of positions where there's just not a lot of options, but that is a very good price point for a very good player, and I don't think he'll be that mid-range trap. I think he'll actually live up to the hype. That being said, you could come back to this in 2 months and, you know, I look a fool, but that's alright. Next, we've got Jaobo, one of the cult favourites across the league, but are his fantasy days done, Artemis?
It's been unfortunate to see the amount of injuries, head knocks, concussions he's had last year, which has definitely brought down his average quite a lot. I think, unfortunately, those those good old days are done for him, which is sad to say. Um, I don't see him as an option. I think he'll still get a decent amount of minutes, but not as high as compared to what we've seen previously.
Yeah, it's a big if he can get big minutes, and there is value, but it looks unlikely with the signing of Kobe Hetherington. Yeah, I think the 80-minute Gerbo is no more.
Yeah, I think his wheels are falling off slowly but surely. And as I said, I just don't rate Manly in general. So someone getting less minutes in a bad side, it's just not a good recipe when you can spend 7 more K and get Trey Mooney. I think it's a no-brainer. Or you can spend 1K less and buy this next player I'm going to mention, Hamish Stewart, 442K. burst onto the scene last year as a 250k player, then sort of tapered off in that Origin period. Now with the Bellin going, he's priced at 35. Is he a must-have? Sandro.
That was a good segue, Connor. I like that. Yeah, Stewart, similar boat to Mooney for me. Not as good as Mooney, but I'd say he's a must-have. He averaged 50.2 when starting at lock last season. The Bellin's gone. Minutes are there. Lock position's there. Priced at just under 35. Lock him in.
Is there anyone else that can sort of take the lock position away from him?
Uh, Maybe Toby
Dylan
Couchman
Egan
and
with
then
the
like
returns.
I don't think Egan will. I think Toby Couchman could, and then they start like Gouler and Kerr or something.
Yeah.
There's not too much threat, I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with Sandro. He's definitely my team. And his PPM last year was ridiculous. So
Yeah.
it'd be a bit crazy not to have him.
Yeah, well, as Sandro said, like, if Hamish doesn't start, they got to have Lawler and Kerr on, and for that to be your starting props, that's just dire. And if Dragons want to make that 8, they just can't be doing that. And we know how good Hamish Stewart is, played out of the park. Him and Dylan Egan burst onto the scene. When Dylan returns, Dragons forward pack's going to be a nightmare. I think he's a must-have. And I do have another bold prediction. I think Hamish Stewart will be the biggest price riser this year, and I think he will hit that 700k mark. So that's like
Wow, that's a big call.
300k. Yeah, big call,
Yeah,
but
it's a big call.
I can see it happening though.
I
Yeah,
rate him.
Yeah.
That wraps up.
hopefully he does.
Yeah, hopefully he does. That wraps
Sorry.
up the mid ranges. Now we move on to the cheapies. Bailey Hayward and Brendan Smith, a lot of talk about them. We mentioned them in the Hooker video, so go watch that. But another one we mentioned at the start, Jesse Colquhoun. With McInnes's injury, it's opened up for him, and we saw him play last year. What were your thoughts on that, Artemis?
Yeah, I'm glad you got the name pronunciation right. Compared to me, because I was going to butcher that. You said it again. But I think, especially with McInnes out, I know there's been a few conflicting reports. We saw one saying between round 1 and 6, and we saw Sandra found another one saying May. I think we might need to get Sirhan's input when he comes back and see a return for an ACL injury. But I think if McInnes is out for a decent amount of time, he's definitely another must-have option. I think he's priced at around 27. There's a lot of points of value on offer. And I think, like as I mentioned, if he does get that starting lock position for a solid amount of games, then he's an easy cash cow generator.
He was someone who I wasn't really that keen on, to be honest, until I found out that McInnes will be back much later than expected. Yeah, I think it makes him close to a must-have. Maybe not a must-have, but close to it. Price at 27. He averaged 36 last season when he played 30 or more minutes. So that's like 10 points of value at least. You might see more minutes than that. Yeah, I like him.
Yeah, I don't know what you were expecting, Sandro, but if I pull my ACL in August, like the earliest I'm coming back is June. So even May, I think that's an overstretch. You know,
I was
that's
surprised as well,
4
honestly.
months.
Yeah,
NRL Physio posted round 1 to 6. I was surprised by it as well, but yeah.
Maybe he's got the best physios in the world, but even like he's older, so it's more,
Yeah.
tough to come back from. That being said,
yeah,
I do like him, especially at that very cheap price point. I do prefer him over someone like a Sanders, the half. Like personally, if we're comparing two 350k players, but again, it's all dependent on quarter composition and what positions you need. But I'd like to hedge that he plays enough games with those big minutes to start the year to make that cash and be a decent scorer in your team for like the first 10 rounds. And to wrap off the episode, we have Cody Hopwood and Basami Solo, the two 250k players of interest. That means they're priced at 20 points. And if they make the bench spot, could they hit that quota, Sandro?
These guys have been impressive in preseason from what I've heard. They're both good chances of making the bench. I think at least one of them will. It just depends on the minutes. They're very cheap, so they don't need too many minutes. Um, Cody Hopwood will be a gun in the future. He's a very good player. He played one game last year and scored 40 points in 40 minutes. So it's 1 ppm. His ppm is very good. Um, yeah, it just depends. For now, they're not really options, but they could become ones.
Yeah, look, I don't really have much input to add. I'm not too familiar with these boys, but if Sandro is recommending them, then I think they are definitely ones to watch in the future. I think, as Sandro mentioned, if they do get the minutes, then potentially at their price. But other than that, don't have much more to add.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cody Hopwood, he's a good player. Sami Solo, his name's been floating around a while, on the emergencies and that, but I'll be honest, I have too many mids already that my 250k players are definitely not mids. They're in other positions to cover those, but yeah, I think Hopwood, if he does get the spot, he'd be a decent option. But again, too many mids, so personally, am not looking there. So, as you can see, there isn't one right answer here, as we listed many great options. You'll see in the episode length, but it really comes down to how heavy you want to stack up in the mids and how heavy you want to stack up around the rest of the squad. Hopefully, this helps your team building and squad decisions. If you're enjoying the podcast, a rating or review goes a long way, as I said earlier. 5 stars, like the video, subscribe, all that good stuff. But thank you all for listening, and we'll see you back soon with the next episode.